This is the missionary history for the second week of July from Pastor James Wong.
So, let's just jump right in with a really fascinating question. Who was the first person to ever be baptized on Korean soil? I mean, think about that. This is a story that's right at the heart of the Korean church. And the answer, well, it's a story about incredible courage, a deep curiosity, and a single book that honestly changed everything.
Okay, to really get why this one baptism was such a huge deal, you gotta picture Korea back in the late 1800s. We're talking about a time when being a Christian wasn't just unpopular, it was flat out forbidden. It was dangerous, like life-threateningly dangerous.
So the first missionary, Dr. Horace Allen, shows up in 1884. And right after him, a few more arrive. But they had to be so careful. They couldn't just start preaching on street corners. Instead, they focused on things like medicine and education, all while just praying for a chance to really share their faith openly. And in that small group, there was this young, really determined guy named Horace Underwood. As soon as he started getting a handle on the Korean language, he began looking for some, creative ways to start conversations.
And his method? It was actually so simple, but just brilliant. He wouldn't go out and preach loudly or anything like that. No, he'd just go sit under a tree, take out a book, and start reading. And you know how people are, right? Their curiosity would just get the best of them. They'd gather around, start asking questions, and boom, a conversation started. It was this quiet, subtle approach that ended up leading to something massive.
And that massive breakthrough, it didn't come from some big revival meeting. Nope, it came from just one person. And the craziest part, he was someone who wasn't even looking for a new religion at all. His name was No Chun-gyung, and he was a teacher. Actually, he was the guy hired to teach Korean to Dr. Allen, the missionary. So you see, he was an intellectual, a professional. He was just there to do a job. That's it. But then one day, he's in Dr. Allen's study, and something on the desk just catches his eye. And this one little thing, it would change his life, and honestly, the course of Korean history forever. What was it? It was a book, specifically the Gospel of Luke, written in Korean.
Now, you have to understand, this wasn't just any book you could pick up at a store. No way. This was an incredibly rare, incredibly precious thing. It had been translated with so much effort, not even in Korea, but over the border in Manchuria. It was this amazing team effort between a Scottish missionary and some really brave young Korean men. We're talking about one of the very first times the gospel was ever available in the Korean language.
And for No Chun-gyung, seeing that book, it was like a spark. It just ignited something inside him. He was absolutely captivated. So he asks Dr. Allen if he can borrow it. He takes it home, and the story goes he stayed up all night long just reading it, page after page. And then, the very next day, he doesn't go back to Dr. Allen. Instead, he finds the other missionary, Underwood, and he is just bursting with questions about everything he'd just read. And Underwood could tell right away this wasn't just, casual curiosity. He actually wrote about it later. He said, No Chun-gyung's eyes were, quote, burning with the desire to find the truth. He could see this man was on a serious, passionate search for something real. So, for the next few weeks, No Chun-gyung just dives in. He's studying, reading other gospels, and everything Underwood can give him. And finally, the time comes where he's ready to make a decision. But Underwood, he had to stop and make sure, absolutely sure, that No understood the huge risk he was about to take. Underwood basically laid it all out on the table. He said, look, do you understand that this is against the law? That you could be killed for this? But No Chun-gyung's answer was just so direct, so firm. He said, I know, I'll believe in Jesus, even if it costs me my life. Just like that. No hesitation. He knew exactly what he was getting into and was ready for it.
And let's be clear, this wasn't just some abstract, theoretical danger. Not at all. The memories of violent, bloody persecutions against Christians were still fresh in everyone's minds. People knew what happened. So for No Chun-gyung to make this choice, it was a literal life-or-death decision.
So, with a confession of faith that clear, that courageous, what else could you do? It was time.
And so on July 11th, 1886, Horace Underwood baptized No Chun-gyung. And just think about that. This quiet, probably very private moment, it was actually a monumental event. This was the very first Protestant baptism on Korean soil by a missionary living there. It was the first seed being planted. And later, when people asked him how it all happened, his answer was so simple but so powerful. He said, the only way I came to realize the truth of Christianity was by reading the Gospels.
It wasn't some charismatic preacher or a big event. For him, it all started with the power of that one book he just happened to find on a desk.
And you can only imagine what this meant for Underwood. I mean, he must have been just overwhelmed. This was it. This was the first one. The very first person he had the honor of baptizing in Korea. After all that work, all that waiting, this was the first fruit.
This story comes to us from Pastor James Huang. He actually served as a missionary in China, and now he's serving in Maryland, in the U.S. He's a dedicated researcher of Korean mission history.
And he shares these kinds of powerful stories every week, drawing insights from his book, which is called Remember and Repay, 52 Weeks of Mission Meditation.